Okay. Hands in Namaskaram. Deep inhale. Yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya cha vaidyakena yopakarottam pravaram muninam patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Okay, guys. Okay, so we were at Sutra 4.5, if I'm not mistaken. Let's take it. Give me a second to open this. So, yeah. Yeah, so we actually talked about from where we came to chapter 4, 1, 2, 3. So 1 talks about the definitions and overall what the whole yogic journey, where it starts and where it ends, and what are the obstacles to go through, and what is the main issue here. Basically looking after your mind, and then so basically and how you need to do it, the vairagya, abhyasa, all these things we talked in chapter number 1. Then in chapter number 2 we talked about, you can see the screen, right? Yeah. So chapter number 2 we talked about the sadhana. So chapter number 1 is samadhi pada, then sadhana pada. So sadhana pada we talked about, for us to reach from a point to a yogi, what are the ways that we can go? Where Patanjali introduces the Raja Yoga, the Ashtanga Yoga, Yam, Niyam, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, part of it. So step by step, why one would help somebody's journey and why these are important. Then when you do your sadhana, when you intensify your practice, ways to intensify it and the results of the intensification and what results that you can generate. So like reading other people's mind, right? Like all these things. So these are like the superpowers of a yogi. Those things were introduced in the Vibhuti Pada, which is chapter number 3. Then Kaivalya Pada. This is like Kaivalya Pada explains you the crust of it and how to end this journey. It's like how to reach into nirvana, moksha, right? That's where it talks about in Kaivalya Pada, right? Then, right. So Kaivalya Pada also we talked about, we just gave a introduction where we came from and all this. Right. Then we talked about the chapter, sutra number 1, where they say accomplishments may be attained through birth, the use of herbs, incarnation, self-discipline, or samadhi, which means for you to attain, to become a yogi, sometimes it comes from your birth itself. So there are certain people who don't go through the same things the majority is going through in a particular lifetime, because they have already done those things in their previous lifetime. So, and they have used to meditate. So there are some children who just sit down and meditate. You don't need any instruction for them why you should do meditation and all. If you look at certain children, the writers, right? Writers are also like that. So the writing ability has come to them through their birth itself, because they have practiced it before, right? And even yogis, monks, these are also people from their childhood itself, the way how they look at things are different. You don't need to additionally explain it to them. They don't go through certain possessions, certain requirements in life, right? So that is basically why, because they have these habits from their previous births itself. So in this birth, if you start a particular habit, right? So habit becomes your life. And then when you end this life, that habit will be carried forward to your next life, right? For an example, if you are a person who used to fight all the time, let's say, so you are a person who used to always fight. So always when you look at anybody, you only see their mistakes or something to point out or something to compare and criticize. So if that is your nature, when you reach 80, it doesn't matter when you are going to die, whether the pirit is being played or whether the statues are being around or whatever, because when you go into consciousness to unconsciousness, right, the habit of your life only take prominence there. Right. So just that, just because, okay, this person is going to die. So sometimes we could take monks to a hospital and all this kind of thing. And then we chant Pirit and all this. So sometimes that person might not even understand why you are doing that. Right. And sometimes that particular thing, what you do, may be irritating for them. So they normally say at the point of your death, all your significant milestones in your life will be like, recollected in your mind. So then not that particular point would take prominence. Basically, your whole life will take prominence, how you live that life. So if you have lived that life in a particular way, and that is what is going to take prominence in that point, right? So if you have built a habit to meditate, build a habit over your spiritual studies and all, what it says is basically it will take prominence. From there, your next birth also. So if you have done certain things which touches your soul, it will be carried forward, right? So that is by janma. Then the spiritual experience gains through herbs, drugs, or medicines, aushadha. So some people go through these as well, right? You take certain drugs, and so these certain drugs are even given in spiritual text itself, right? So you should take this, and that will intensify your practice. It will make certain chemical changes in your brain. Likewise, so even for an example, if you are a person, it's like, just take a simple example. So I have a body pain, right? So how can I do anything when I have this body pain, right? So you might take certain drugs to heal that body pain in a way that you can think about something else. So likewise, even to intensify your spiritual practices, there can be certain things which I'm really not familiar with much. Then, and by incarnation, but by incantation of the name of one's desired deity. So that is a mantra. So mantra is basically a frequency. It's a very high frequency. So we talked about that water example, right? So you chant something to water, the molecules of the water, the structure get arranged in a different way. So likewise, if you do this vibration, but you have to chant it as a chanting. You should not sing mantras or you should not say mantras. You should chant the mantra. So there are certain rules in Sanskrit. So based on that, you need to chant the mantra. So that would also change your molecule structure, right? Then by ascetic or devotional practices, then of course the meditation, right? So though these things can discipline yourself into samadhi. So these are 5 ways how this journey starts. Then we talked about the abundant flow of nature's energy bring about transformation in one's birth, aiding the process of evolution, right? So depend on where you are, the nature will give you a push, right? The nature also will give you a help to reach your goal, right? So for an example, there is a tree, let's say. So there is a tree, but there's a lot of shade on top of it. So the nature is actually helping the tree to either turn to this side or turn to the other way around and reach the sunlight. So likewise, if there are certain obstacles, if there are certain intensification need to be done on your part, nature will also help you, right? Then we talked about nature's efficient cause does not impel its potentialities into action, but helps to remove the obstacles to evolution, just as farmer builds banks to irrigate his field. So nature can't, you being just yourself, nature can't make you a spiritual person and take all the vrittis out of your mind and then bring you to moksha. Nature can't do that. But nature can help you by removing the obstacles, right? So for that to experience, of course, you have to put yourself into practice. When you put yourself into practice, you will realize, okay, nature is basically, okay, this would have happened right now, but it is happening later. This would have obstruct my journey, but it didn't happen to me like that. So when you go through changes, you start to even notice what are the changes or what are the helps that the nature is offering you, right? Then number 4, uh, nirmana chittani, right? So this is an important word, nirmana chittani, right? Nirmana chittani asmita matrat. Nirmana is measuring, forming. Nirmana in Sinhala, we say Nirmana is making, so fabricate, create, making something. Chittani is the fears of the consciousness, right? The stuff of the mind, or otherwise we called it the mind field. Then asmita, meaning the individuality, asmita, me, right? Then matrat, from that alone itself, right? So constructed or created mind, constructed, okay, constructed or created mind springs from the sense of individuality, right? So what does that say? So right now, what is inside you, this particular mind is a personal consciousness, right? So your consciousness and my consciousness are different. That's why when we look at one person, one object, one place, whatever running in our mind, how we perceive it, what we think about it, what we talk about it, everything is different, right? It is because this particular my mind or your mind is created from outsiders, right? From outside objects. So from the day that you are born, if somebody teach you, showing that person saying, this is your mother, you will call that person mother. If you show a man and show, this is your mother, child will call that man mother, right? So likewise, how you put things to their mind, you can nicely see this in a 2-year-old child. When a child is 2-year old, the child will just repeat what the parents have taught them, right? The same tone, the same words, the same way of talking, all these things will come out. So basically, how you wire or how you program a child from their childhood is what they become, what their mind become, right? So that's why two people, even if they're sitting together, they are different. Same way, the vrittis, the moods, right? So that's why we call it here a cultivated chitta, right? So cultivated chitta is a created mind is what we have, right? So if we are told in our early days, you just came from the sun god to the land, you don't have a mother or father. The child will, unless the child is proven wrong scientifically, till that time, child will believe that I came from sun god, right? So the taints, the distortions, disturbances, intelligence, creating various afflictions, fluctuations, all these are basically based on that created chitta, right? So imagine this nirmita chitta or this nirmana chitta is built towards a sattvic personality from the childhood. This chitta of a person is programmed in a way that you go into sattvic or a yogi manner. right? Then that person will go into that particular area, right? So it's the mind which we have to program. So when you are saying, you look at a person and say, that person is very dangerous, violent, right? Why that person is dangerous, violent is maybe not his or her own creation. That's how their mind is wired, right? So the ones who give inputs to people they have a lot to do, right? So that individuality from whatever the mental moods that you are in, important thing is to basically bring it to the sattvic mentality. So when you come to a stage where you can do things by yourself, then that's where you need to put yourself into spirituality, studies, reading, all these things. So you don't need others to put things to your head anymore. Why don't you put your head, why don't you wire yourself? Right? That can be done. Then, Sutra number 5 in chapter 4, what it says is, Prabhutti bhede prayojakam chittam ekam aneksham. Right? Prabhutti bhede prayojakam chittam ekam aneksham. Meaning, consciousness is one. In a person's consciousness, or see here, it's just one. But it branches into many different types of activities and innumerable thought waves, right? Your consciousness, my consciousness, another person's consciousness, this all is one, but those are basically channeled through different ways. For an example, right now, I may be not worrying about my kids. You may be thinking about kids because some maybe just was sleeping. Now, this is the time that they're waking up. So all these things. So whatever the thoughts that you have, even though the consciousness is one, those are channeled through different ways based on your environment, based on your commitments and all. It will be different, right? So when you are born, this consciousness is very pure. It's not programmed, but depend on how you are being brought up, it will depend, right? And then basically it will go all over the place, right? Who is there in the lobby? Mm. Mm. Mr. Jantan, good evening. Right. Okay. So, Sutra 5. So, one nice example that we can give is, think of consciousness like the deep sea, right? Think of consciousness like the deep sea. So, if when you say deep sea is the same. When it is deep sea, it's more or less the same, right? The way how it behaves. So, in the deep sea, you don't have big waves, right? So when you say deep sea, it's the same. But when you look at the whole world, the beaches are different. Indian beach is very different to Sri Lanka beach. Southern beach in Sri Lanka is different to the northern beach. Trincomalee is different to the east coast, Negombo area, right? So these beaches are what you call like the waves, of course, the thoughts, right? So consciousness is more or less the same, but depend on where the wave hits, that is different. You will call, okay, this place is good for surfing. This place is good for scuba diving. This place is not good at all to get onto the sea because it's very rough. The currents are there, right? So those are changing. But when you say deep sea is the same, right? So that's something like consciousness is the same, but depend on where it hits, thought waves can be different, right? So still, if what we said in the second sutra, Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha, if the waves of the mind, or when you close your eyes, if this whole thing's appearing in front of you, thought waves coming in and make you scared, make you remember certain things, when this whole event flow stops, right? If you can cease that event flow, of course, you are reaching to the nirmala avastha, right? Nirmala avastha is, it's like, pure consciousness, pure level of consciousness, which is the true self within you, right? Great. Right. Then, okay. Then, are we clear to that point? Is it understandable? Yeah.
Fifth one, if you could explain it again.
Yeah. Yeah. So, fifth one, consciousness is one, right? But it branches into different types of activities and innumerable thought waves. So, your consciousness, imagine when you are born, when the child next to your bed in the hospital was born, on the same day, let's say same time, right? These two children are more or less the same, right? Looks may be different. If you tell these two children, you are brothers, right? This is your elder brother, this is your younger brother. They will call each other brothers, right? And they will call one mother as mother. They will not know even there are two mothers, right? Even when they are brought up, they will still don't know. And when they are brought up, if somebody says, no, 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 you are from a different mother, they will not even believe, right? So that's how you are being engineered. That's how the information has been fed to you. Based on that, now you have a thought, okay, this is my mother, right? And I love my mother and I'm her son. So whatever she says, I will do and I will obey her. All these things will come, right? So why things are getting different? Why different people's conscious levels are different is how they are being brought up, right? So if you really see the consciousness, it's actually just a very pure thing, right? So it's like, that's where the ocean example I took in. Wherever in this world, if you go to deep sea would be the same, right? You go in a cruise while you are going in the deep sea, it's the same. There is no difference. That you can't see anything. You can just see the blue water. That's it. There are no waves, nothing, right? But what is different is based on the things that is being put to you, based on your environment, based on what you see in the morning, see in the evening, how you have named them, how you have perceived them. This is where two people are different from each other, right? Even though the pure consciousness is one, you can't actually see the pure consciousness because on top of it, you have thought waves running all over the place, right? So that's where when you go to meditation, when you are in meditation, so I mean, for people who have meditated for a long time, their experiences are more or less becoming same. Some might say, when I was meditating, I felt like my weight is being reducing, right? And I felt like I was floating. Then nothing I was perceiving from my eyes. Then others might say, oh, yeah, yeah, I also had that experience, right? So how that happens is because people are being taken from their normal lives to a different place. And they are being taken through a meditation program. So they are being taken through one set of instructions, right? And so basically they are experiencing more or like the same things. They are actually reaching closer to consciousness. But our lives are not like that, right? Every moment you and I are doing two different things. Our lives are totally different. So that's where, yes, if you see all these waves, thoughts happening around you, you and the other person would be more or less very similar, right? Your experiences would be very similar, just like you go into deep meditation. In deep meditation, your experiences are more or less similar, right? Because you are going towards the consciousness. When you reach the consciousness or the full awareness in the present moment, it's the same, right? But as far as you are not there, you are basically, your thought waves are even if we are sitting like this in a row, we are in different worlds, right? So that's what is meant by the fifth sutra. Are we understanding that? Yeah, great. Okay. Oh, okay. Jayanthan, you got it? Understood. Okay. Right. Then sixth sutra. What does the sixth sutra say? So, right. I mean, what we should be doing going forward is, so today I will finish till like 15th sutra, right? Then we will be left with another like 15 sutra more. So you need to go through the past videos and whatever we did, the materials given and all this kind of thing. Come up with questions. Can keep posting the questions in the group, right? If you want, you can use a voice clip and write it or just type it, whatever. So we will take those questions and discuss. I might also not have answers for everything, right? I will also have to do some studies, but it's important that we clarify things. That actually gives you bigger than all what we have been doing so far, right? Great. Sixth sutra, it says Tatra Dhyana. Uh, yeah, Tatra Dhyana Jam Anashayam, meaning the Samadhi, or let's say Tatra of them, of these. Dhyana, Dhyana Jam, right? Born of meditation, right? Dhyana Janma, likewise. So Dhyana is meditation, born. Janma is being born. Anashayam, free from impressions or influences, which means of these activities of consciousness of perfected beings. We are not talking about normal beings. We're talking about perfected beings, right? Who perfected beings are? People who can live in the present moment. When you close your eyes, you can, or even while you're walking, you can be in the present moment. You are not being affected by your past memories, all the problems, or you are not worried about the future. You are in the present moment right now. You are feeling that you are walking, you are feeling you are breathing, you are feeling the wind around you. You are in full awareness of everything is around you, right? Such people of these activities, consciousness of perfected being, only those which proceed from meditation are free from latent impressions and influences. So these impressions and influences, why these impressions and influences are happening? If I ask you, okay, Dushanti was sleeping in the night, suddenly she woke up with a shock, right? And suddenly she woke up. Maybe she was screaming and woke up. And now she's watching around. Oh my God, there's no lion. Thank God, right? Because there was a lion who was coming after me, right? Oh my God, that lion is not there. I am peacefully sleeping. Thank God. Let me drink some water and maybe a pill or two. Then I will go to sleep again, right? Why that incident happened? Because in your subconscious, there are certain impressions which has created a lion while you are in sleeping, right? And your subconsciousness know, okay, so I can create a lion and I am scared to lion. And if a lion is coming after me, I will scream, I will run, right? And I will get a fear of my life itself, right? Putting all these things together while you are in sleeping, mind is keep on working, and suddenly an impression or a wave just hit a little upper to the beach, a tsunami came suddenly, right? Then you wake up, right? Now, why this thing happened, where this lion came, where this fierceness came, who knows that the lion is a ferocious animal? All these things are based on your past storehouse of memories, right? Nothing else, nothing came from the God, nothing imparted you by somebody, right? It all came from your past memory house, and based on that, you have created impressions. Lion is ferocious. Rabbit is nice. If a rabbit comes to me, I will sleep even better. I will pet the rabbit and the rabbit will be very snuggly and rabbit will make me feel very comforting and then I will further sleep very well. But if a lion, elephant, tiger, hippo, all these fellows come, I mean, worship the ground and your feet and run, right? That's all. So that is create. So when you see an animal, you have given, first of all, you have identified, okay, this is a being. So there's a being. The word has been picked from the language created by humans. So a being. What is that being? A ferocious being. And that being can kill me. So we are scared to that being. Right? So all these impressions are created, stored in a nice database of your mind, which is called the memory. Right? Then out of those memories, to the future, you have created impressions already. Now you might decide, okay, my son or my daughter has to become an engineer or a doctor. That's it, right? There are some parents, they say, my child will one day work in the government sector. My child will never go to private sector because they do not get pension, all this kind of thing, right? So they have already created. Now, the moment your child that you expected to be a engineer or a doctor suddenly becomes a singer or an actress, now that is the day you are going to lose your sleep because they are not working according to your plan. So based on my memory house, I have already created, okay, so when my daughter becomes a doctor, when I grow old, my daughter can, give me medicine. How nice that would be, right? So when my son becomes an engineer, they can renovate this same house that we are living by including a helipad and this, that, and the other, everything, and he will be like Iron Man. And suddenly the man has become a singer or an actress or an accountant or some IT guy or monk, right? People can't take it. So when suddenly some children go to their parents and say, I want to leave everything aside. I want to go to a temple because everything doesn't make any sense and I'm not impressed by anything. I want to become a monk. My God, what to do? Who is going to take care of us when we are old, right? That thought will come. We spent all this time and money and everything for your education. What is that going to be? What are we going to tell to our relatives? What am I going to tell my friends? Right? So are you going to hold a begging bowl every day morning and go in front of our gate? Right? Just like the Gautama Buddha's father's problem. He was highly insulted by that. Right? So are you going to do all these things? Then suddenly left side or some shoulder pain, chest pain comes and you are in the hospital. Right? So all these are happening because of latent impressions and influences which is running in your mind. So a perfected being is the one who lives in the moment. For such a person, they are not disturbed by their past, they are not disturbed by their future. So that's where they say meditation, you focus on what's happening right now. So when you close your eyes, you don't know what's happening outside, you can't see. Right? That's why we say only thing that you can feel what's happening right now is your breath. Focus on your breath. So you focus to the tip of the nose, you feel the air comes in, air goes out, air comes in, air goes out. And here you are not manipulating your breath. Then basically these are people, they are not affected by anything happening outside. Because one is, if you are living in the present moment, right? First of all, before you start to think of even living in the present moment, we have to accept the things as it is, right? So in the past, if something has happened, we have to accept it, right? As far as we do not accept that, of course, there are going to be disturbances coming to you, right? There's going to be unsettled things. You are not happy with what happened 20 years back, right? People, maybe 20 years back, two people fought, right? Two families fought. Even after 20 years, they don't talk to each other, right? Or 20 years back, 50 years back, right? Okay, let's say 100 or 500 years back, one nation came and got the power of another nation. Aren't we still talking about it? We do still talk about it. In 1505, the Portuguese came, and then 1700 somewhere, the other ones came, and then the Britishers came, and Britishers did this, that, and the other, and we talk about it, and we talk about our history. I'm not saying we should not be proud about those things. We have to be, but those things, just accept it. Yeah, Portuguese came, right? They killed so much of our people, but that's in the past. Right now, you are longing to go to Portugal and explore. Right? You're longing to go to Britain and explore. Right? So likewise, so you first of all you have to accept it. Yesterday, somebody told something very harsh to you, scolded, and all these things. You just have to, okay, thank you very much. That's fine. Right? There is a nice story to explain this. So um, you are at your home, right? And somebody comes with a present, right? So normally we like presents, no? We want people when they are coming to our houses, we like to have presents. Otherwise, when they go out, we are worried, you they didn't even bought anything, right? So you are at your house, somebody bring a present to you. This present can be anything, can be very nice thing, I don't. Then, if you don't accept that present, if you don't accept that present, what is going to happen? Either that person will have to take it and go, right? Or if that person refuses to take it and go, then let it be. Let it be, since I have not accepted it. Since I have not accepted it, I'm not going to open it, and I'm not curious to even open it, right? I'll just throw it to my garage and I'll go to sleep, right? Or I will just give it to somebody else. I will tell, okay, this somebody came, there's a present, why don't you take it? Right? So just like that, when somebody put ridicule on you, when somebody scold you, when somebody badmouth about you, all these things, if you don't accept those, they will have to take it and go, or let it just get dissolved in the nature. Right? That is one way of taking it. But on the same time, if you have already accepted somebody's problem, right? So somebody has told something to you and you also have responded. Now you are fighting every time that you see each other. So of course, then when you go to meditation also, that person will come into you. And you will think, okay, what if this person see me meditating? He will think, how can this person meditate? We only know about his character, right? Now you are actually inside your head. You have taken that person and you are actually thinking what that person might think, right? Inside your head, you have put another person and you are even inside that person's head, right? But if you let it go, right, that story has a full stop. That story has a full stop. Then it will not bother you into the future. So the yogis, I'll take Buddha as an example. So he left the house, he left the kingdom. He had everything, right? He was such a rich person, rich family. Of course, he was a prince, and the most beautiful princess was married to him, and they had a child, and all these things. So when he went to the woods to meditate, if he was worried about all these things, what he had done, what he left, he wouldn't have attained peace of his mind, right? Since you let go of all these things, it doesn't matter. Whatever happens to them, it doesn't matter because I'm in the woods, other everything may be somewhere around. So it's okay. I'm doing my meditation. right? So such a person can, of course, through intense meditation, right, you can actually free from these impressions and influences, right? Then the next question comes, okay, is it only meditation which can help these things? Right? Why would somebody want to do meditation to uh, make up his mind? So meditation is one technique. Meditation is one technique for you to bring down or come to the present moment. If there are any other ways where you can practice present moment, of course, please go ahead. Right? So that particular practice you can call as a meditation. Right? So meditating means meditate. The word meaning is basically taming your mind and come to the present moment. And there can be different ways to do that. Huh? Okay. Are we clear? Right? Good. I can only see one person in the screen. So if you are not clear, just switch on your mic and tell me. Yeah. Then, seventh sutra talks about, yeah, karma ashukla, karma ashukla akrushna yoginas trividam iti resham. This is a very important one, right? Karma ashukla akrushna yoginas trividam iti resham. Meaning, a yogi's actions, now we are talking about a yogi, okay, not a normal person. Yogi's actions are neither white nor black. So these actions, they have given colors to it, right? This is theoretical, right? Now, there is no, now, when I do something, oh, that's a black action. You don't say that, but just for categorizing and understanding purpose, we say, right? So yogi's actions are neither white or black. White and black are two extremes, right? So his actions are not either white or black. The actions of others are of three kinds, which is white, black, and gray. So these white actions are actions performed in sattvic nature. Sattvic nature are very balanced. You are not into too much, not too less. It's okay. Very calm, and those are actions without a desire. Right? You do something to somebody without a desire. Do it, that's it, and move forward. Right? And you don't keep it in your head and you can say, you know, when you remember, I did this thing to that person, that thing to this person. Likewise. Normally, when we are mad with somebody, people's tendency is to remember every good thing that you have done for them and keep on talking about it and worry. Why? Because you have done that particular action with a return expectation, right? So when that return expectation is not met, you are hurt. Your desires are not met, right? So yogi's action, okay, I gave this particular thing to this person for that person to travel from here to there. That's fine. Then next day you see that person is maintaining that vehicle in an ugly manner. You're not worried. You have given it, forgotten. Right? Given it and let go. Dunna na dunna. If you give it, give it. Otherwise, you don't give it. You lend it. Right? Don't lend things to people. If you want to give something, you give it. Right? So those are sattvic actions. So it doesn't really. So those are sattvic actions. Let's say the sattvic actions are white. Then the black actions are, of course, what are the black actions? Yeah, so these punya, good deeds that you do actually, right? A little bit of correction. So good deeds, the punya that you do, these are actually called white karma. Then when you do a papaha, right, with the intention of I want this animal to be dead. I want to see that animal suffering to death. So let me hit that animal, right? When you do that, of course, that's you call it as a black color action. And anything in between, whatever you are doing, these are called gray, right? white and black mixed in between. So these two are the two extremes. In between, whatever the action that you are doing are called as gray. But a yogi's action doesn't belong to this whole spectrum at all, right? He just do it because he's supposed to do it. Karma yoga. Whatever you are supposed to do, you do it without an expectation. Actually, when you do something without an expectation, you do it to your maximum. You do that particular task to your maximum because there is nothing restraining you from doing that. Nothing gives you a limit of doing that. Now, for an example, you do a class for money. I think we discussed this when I met Janthan sometime back, right? Recently. I mean, if you do a lesson or something for money, then you have this whole rule sets coming. Okay, 5 to 6. Beyond 6, I should not teach them. Why should I teach them beyond 6? Because I'm only charging them or I'm being paid to teach them only 1 hour. That is that. And I'm supposed to do 4 classes a month. What if there are 5 days? There are some weeks, no? Now, December month, you have 5 Thursdays, 5 Fridays, 5 Saturdays, right? So, okay, that Saturday, let me give them a holiday. Why should I teach them? Right? So then all these, then if somebody, your best student in the class has not paid the fees, now that best student is becoming not so best student, right? So I'm starting to have problems with the student. Everything is good, but this bugger doesn't pay, right? All these things, right? So that is basically you are doing action. These are not actually doing action. These are transaction. There's no action. If it is an action, it goes one way, done and dusted, right? But when you do transaction, one way and the other way, both are there. So you might not see. So I give you this, you pay me back, right? The day that you won't pay, I feel like, why should I take my time to teach these people like that, right? So yogi doesn't perform transactions at all unless yogi perform transactions with the nature, right? So that's what when Buddha came to enlightenment, he understood the enlightenment or came to enlightenment under a Bodhi tree, right? So as a gratitude, what he did is he did a puja called Animisalochana puja, meaning he looked at the Bodhi tree for 7 days without blinking, right? So now somebody will ask, okay, so the tree gave him shelter, so he gave the tree something back in return. So there's a transaction, there's two-way. Tree did not expect anything. Tree did not ask for anything. Tree did not choose him to sit there, right? He chose to sit there and he did, after that, he thought, okay, I should do this. I do that. That's it. And you walk away, right? So whatever the action a yogi will do, it will not have a return expectation. If there is a return expectation of an action that we perform, which means we are performing that action with a desire, right? We are not doing something because our heart says do it. No, we want something back in return, so we are doing a particular task, right? So a yogi's actions are neither white or black, but the actions of others are either white or black or in between. Right? Understood? Yeah. Okay. So these three types of actions, 8th Sutra, leave impressions which become manifest when conditions are favorable and ripe. Get it very clearly. Now there are three types of actions, either white or black or gray. So normally we use this word karma in a in the common world in a little bit of a negative perspective, right? So when something bad happens to you, you say, "Ayyo, my karma," right? And then when something good happens to you, you don't even talk about karma. You say, thank God. Right? So you don't remember. So karma is action, right? For karma, there is no bad or good, right? So a karma, a yogi doesn't have a good and bad. But a karma, a bogi can have either good or can have a bad thing because he has a desire bundled with it, right? But the word karma, pure meaning of the word karma is action. Karma equals action, right? Then good karma, bad karma, that depends on what your mental state is, what you expecting, what is running in your head while you are doing the action, right? Now, Patanjali says there are three types of colors that we assign to a common man, whatever they do. But remember, these three types of actions leave impressions, right? Leave imprints which become manifest. They will come out when conditions are favorable and right. The best example, right? Let's say there is a person who had done business in a really good way in the past, in his past lives. So he had done so much of alms. So he had done alms giving. So he had donated so much of things, and he had done his business also in such a way it doesn't harm the society at all, right? And out of the profit that he has earned, he give majority back to the society. He build things, he build common goods, all these things, right? Now such a person now being born in this life in a very rural area to a very poor family for some reason that person at his death, based on his consciousness, he has been born in this life to a very rural area, poor family, right? But of course, he is carrying a very good punya, right? So for this person, for that punya to manifest, he living in the village might not work, right? For some reason, then he has been sent to the city, and then he starts selling shoes, right? And then suddenly the business sprout, and then suddenly the business become massive, right? Then we say, oh, the punya has manifested. Nattang pinak balavat vela. We say that in Sinhala, right? So for a person's impression, so you have done certain actions, and that impression imprint is there like a seed. For that to sprout out, the right conditions, the right environment for that need to come. On the same way, let's say you have been killing fish, right, with the intention of not to survive, but with the intention of becoming rich and buying things and doing all sorts of things, right? So you have been doing that for a long time. Let's say long number of lives you have done that. So in this life, if you are being born in a normal ground area without a sea or anything, that impression might not sprout out. But the moment you go to the beach or you go to the beach to have a bath with your friends, he might go in, the sea might take him, right? So that's where we say even now, the example is, I say so, on a rainy day, you can't dry things, right? But on a sunny day, you can dry things because that environment has been created. So do not think when you do, if you have done punya or if you have done papa, you can escape, right? I'll change the environment and I will escape. No, when the right environment comes, it will manifest itself and it will come out, right? So, person learning the Brahma Jnanam, spiritual knowledge, you are cleaning your mind and your consciousness. What you are doing is you are cleaning, 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 right? Person knowing that he has done a mistake and saying sorry can stop it. Now, for an example, let's say you fought with somebody, you took something that they possessed, right? And one day you go back and say, I'm sorry for what I did, and I don't have it anymore. Or you can say, okay, here is what I got from you. Anything else if I can do, please let me know. So the person will, then actually the whole problem will come to an end. But as far as you take some things out of somebody and keep it with you, and not understanding that what your action, what you did, and what are the repercussions can come out of it, then you are bound to that imprint, right? So a yogi, what he does is consciously you have to clean, consciously you have to clean your karma. Then nothing to worry. Learn to say, even when you are in the road, if something happens, learn to put yourself to the second position and say sorry, right? Something like that. So we will stop at the eighth sutra, right? And we will take the discussion further next week, right? Okay, so we will end up the session here and I'll take your questions thereafter, right? Okay, so hands in namaskaram. Think about what we learned today. Yeah. Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yeah, you can release your hands. Just stay there. No, hold on. Stop recording, right? No.